Number 2 is to consider resolution directing staff to issue requests for proposal for construction manager, general contractor to construct Weld County Justice Center. Oh, Matt, good morning.
Good morning. I don't really have much of a presentation, but here to answer any questions. I know there's been a ton of discussion over this over the last couple of weeks as referenced in public comments. And this is the board's time to discuss and decide what to do.
Yeah. Any questions for Matt, please? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board? Please.
I don't have any questions for me.
It's a pleasure of the board.
I'll make some comments if you want.
Please do.
Share.
Commissioner Ross.
I'll start off. This has been a decision the board has been working on for well over 2 years, quite frankly, as we started off with a master facilities plan and identifying really a roadmap for the county on how to attack its capital projects needs and to get a better understanding what our capital outlay was going to look at for not just the immediate future, but for the long-term future. And what rose to the top was something I guess we weren't expecting, but with the need of additional judges and the condition of Centennial Building in the unsecure corridors, things of that nature. Really, the number one item that arose out of that master facilities plan was this courthouse. And we've talked about this ad nauseum as we did along, debate and search and community outreach on where to place the Justice Center. I don't think there's been any disagreement with any of the 5 of us. I know Commissioner Pepler, Commissioner Maxey, you came on kind of midstream in this process, and we backed some things up even for the both of you, right, to make sure that you could get the information that you needed to, digest whether this project was needed and where we should go, right? So it hasn't been without a lot of studying and thoughtfulness, and our staff's done a great job. Kudos to them. Kudos to those teams that we've hired to help us out in getting us the data in doing such. As we came about this, initially this spring, we were looking at, okay, how do we move forward with the project as we've brought on level 5 and the architect moving forward. And the board's been split, quite frankly, right, on how we interpreted 14.8. There's a lot of things in 14.8 that aren't defined. And as we looked at that, we've all been trying to figure out the least expensive way to tackle this large capital project that the county has. I don't think there's a single one of us going, how can we make this more expensive, right? Everybody's trying to figure out to cut square footage and to make sure we do it in Weld County style versus other counties that want to build Taj Mahal buildings, right? And so I credit this board and our staff for keeping that in mind at all times. But as we've been doing this, we're trying to get to that. How do we do this in the least expensive manner and still adhere to all of our charters deals? And as 14.8 got brought up to us last summer, that's been the one thing we've been wrestling with. Many things were undefined in there, such as what is a project. And as we were looking at this, I was one of the commissioners saying projects not defined. We can break this thing into multiple projects. And that's how we can tackle this to get this done and keep the costs low. But in doing such, because of these things not being defined, I want to give kudos to our legal team. Never before has 14.8 been, I would say, dissected and investigated and really challenged to the degree that it has. And so, Matt, Bruce, I want to give you guys a lot of kudos towards this. And when I hear comments of saying, we believe we can skirt around 14.8, I would adamantly argue against that. I think everything we're doing right now is complying with 14.8. As you dive into this, and what we've since discovered is the notes that were taken as the charter was being formed and what 14.8 was truly about and what its intent was. And after you read those notes and you determine why they were doing it, when they were doing it, we need to take a step back in time. This is before Tabor. Most of us, all we know or all we remember is Tabor because it's been with the state of Colorado for so long. We understand roughly, that when tax measures come up, they need to go to a vote of the people. You can only, increase revenue X percent, this and that. Well, the great thing is Weld County kind of had its own Tabor-like measures when they formed its charter, right? And we adhere to those. We don't go for anything greater than a 5% revenue increase. You can't do that without going to a vote of the people, or in certain circumstances, you go to the county council asking for that. You don't raise taxes without going to a vote of the people. And as you look at what they were discussing when they were looking at 14.8, it revolved around the Centennial Building, which is odd because that's one of the buildings that we look at in this whole deal. A project that was already well underway, but the commissioners had just raised the community's mills, 3 mills, and they were doing so to fund the Centennial Center and the construction of it. And what it looks at, and as you read their notes during this, 14.8 wasn't a spending limit, it was a revenue limit, holding the commissioners in check so that they couldn't just willy-nilly go out and raise mill levies for taking on capital projects. They put guardrails to it, saying if you're going to, it's the 3 mills over 3 years, nothing more. Otherwise, it goes to a vote of the people. Well, we are complying with 14.8. We are not raising anybody's mill levy to do this. We are simply using reserves that we have in various accounts that we have steadily built up to take on these types of capital projects. So when I hear that we're skirting 14.8, I will adamantly say we are not. We're actually complying with 14.8. This is not, we're not raising anybody's taxes to do this. We are simply staying within our budget as it simply sits right now. And we are using revenues that we've already acquired. And so with that, I feel confident in being able to move this forward as one project and make sure that we're doing it in the most efficient possible way, which there's no doubt around it when you do it as one project is much even more efficient than the 3 projects that as we had discussed prior. And so, when we look at things, we are charged with being fiscally prudent with the taxpayers' dollars. They're precious dollars. I couldn't agree more. And that's what we're trying to do here. Others can comment about what the state situation is on this, but the state has said we have inadequate facilities. They are not safe. From the corridors that we transport inmates down to the judges to the public as they come to be juries or witnesses. We have an obligation that we have to meet there, and we're out of space. And again, none of us are denying, I think, the need for this. It's just how we get there. And I believe this is how we do it in the most fiscally responsible manner. And we get it done so that we meet our obligations to future judges and courtroom needs. That's my comments, Mr. Chair.
Comments or actions, please? Commissioner Maxey.
Since we're doing comments first, I'll go ahead and make some comments here. Excuse me. First off, I appreciate what Ms. Tennant said because I wish more people were here. I always wish more people are here. I mean, whether it's the board meeting for us or even our county council or those who've served on other boards or commissions, you always want people to be there to be a part of the process. That being said, we have what we have today, and I'm going to make my comments so that it's on the record and so that anybody who wants to go back and listen can go back and listen. And I'll start off by saying that this whole project has been like I described it to some people as like a ping pong match in my head. I mean, I could argue one way one day and another way the next day, and that's just in my own internal thought process. And I hope that shows that information and the debate and the discussion that has happened is something that makes us all think and think and dig into these types of things. But I do have some prepared comments that I made last night and this morning in preparation of this, just so I didn't lose track of my thoughts and put everything on the record. And even so, I bet I probably left some stuff out. So bear with me here, Mr. Chair, and I'll get this on the record and then we can have more discussion. So as Kevin mentioned, this project's been on our plates since I've been on this board. We have had countless meetings and spent hundreds of hours between not only the 5 of us, but also our staff leading up to this point. And I want to assure people the road has not been smooth. We have not always agreed on the path forward. That's one thing that I do wish more people could witness. We have had hearty debates. We have each tried to make a solid case for the point we want others to see. And we have left work frustrated with each other on quite a few occasions. At least I'll be one to admit that on this board. I mean, Perry might not, but we'll see. But we have left frustrated with each other. But you know what? We have always come back the next day, continued to ask questions, continued to dig deeper, and continued to push forward, not only on this project, but on many other county-related items. Why? For this project in particular, it's because we all agree this project is needed. Throughout this whole debate, you really haven't heard any one of us say that this project is not needed. We also all agree that the best place to keep the Justice Center is in downtown Greeley. In fact, we made that decision last July in a very public meeting. And after to do that, we were actually marching down the path of just building this thing. When later that month or in early August, very shortly after we made that public decision, we were pointed to or reminded of, however you want to look at it, 14.8 of the Home Rule Charter. Now, as Kevin mentioned, I think that we also all agree that the most fiscally responsible thing is to build the Justice Center all at once. But that is also where we start our disagreement, is how do we do so? What is the definition of a project? One project or three? Can we fit one project into what we thought the limit was under 14.8? I was one of the ones that was opposed to breaking one large building project into multiple projects. To be clear, when we're talking about this project as a whole, I can absolutely say that the parking garage associated with the new Justice Center can be its own project. Once it's finished and open, it is a fully functioning building on its own, regardless of any other construction. But I disagreed with breaking a large building into core and shell and then tenant finishes. After you build the core and shell, you still don't have anything more than just a shell. It's not a fully functioning building. It's certainly not ready to move our courts into or be a replacement for what we currently have. Value of the Home Rule Charter was mentioned. I truly value our Home Rule Charter. I do, and I believe that we all do. I want to push back on the state, just as was mentioned earlier. But when the Colorado Supreme Court just last year said our charter is subservient to state statute or redistricting that we had to do last summer as well, I have to admit that stung quite a bit. As much as I believe in our Home Rule Charter, I also don't want to cheapen it. With recent advice from our legal team regarding CRS 30-11-104 and our statutory duty to provide a suitable courthouse, I was faced with a dilemma. This gets into that ping pong match in my head. Supposedly ignoring 14.8 due to state statute, or do we face another lawsuit with the state? One which we know, based on just last year, we would more than likely lose. Instigating a lawsuit which would tell us what we already know, that we would still need to provide suitable facilities, doesn't seem like a wise decision to me. It would waste taxpayer time and money. 30-11-104 was the first bit of recent advice we received just prior to the meeting with the County Council on June 11th, 2026, only 12 days ago. Historical context surrounding the creation of our Home Rule Charter was the most recent piece of info we've dug into. If we aren't looking at context, we're not looking at the entire picture. Giving credit where credit's due, Matt, thank you very much for all the work you've done. Matt Conroy of our legal team did the research and brought us new information recently. He visited the CU library. He reviewed state statutes from the mid-70s. He also reviewed documents from the Weld County Charter Commission from the mid-70s to help us understand what our Home Rule Charter creators were thinking about and trying to do. Historical context matters and cannot be ignored. As I was reading through some of the information that our excellent team at the County Attorney's Office found, one thing rang true with me. It's included in a document titled Conversation Concerning the Charter on June 14th, 1975. And it's numbered 75-1070 if anybody in the public, whether you're here or is listening, wants to research it yourself. I wish I knew who said this, because in the transcript, it's just a question mark at the beginning of this quote. But it applies then, and I think it's just as applicable now, and I'm going to read it for you. It says, basically speaking, the people we have in both areas are going to be thought-provoking people who are basically for the county, and they want to see the county run as efficiently as possible. And if you do have problems come up that need to be taken care of, they are going to take them into consideration. You are always going to have one or two who are not. That is sometimes good. It makes everybody else study and dig more. I found this out on this crazy thing. Once in a while, you come up with an idea that you think is really great, and somebody shoots you clean out of the saddle. So you get back on and you dig some more. For anyone out there that's armchair quarterbacking this thing, please know that I appreciate questions and I certainly appreciate respectful dialogue, but please know we have done our digging. We dug into the facilities master plan, which was completed prior to me joining the board. It identified the new Justice Center as one of the top priorities, actually needed within 0 to 5 years. That was done a year and a half ago. So we're already a year and a half into that 0 to 5 year time frame. We evaluated multiple options, including O Street, right across the street from us, and 2 new locations downtown. A lot of people get that lost in all this discussion. They think that we picked the West Block. We actually evaluated 2 brand new locations in downtown Greeley. We also evaluated doing what Weld County has historically done, just make it work. Put a Band-Aid on it, put some more lipstick on that pig. Do the absolute cheapest thing we can do just to make it work. And don't get me wrong, there is a time and place for that. A lot of times I tout that as the Weld County way, we make stuff work, but not this time. If we put a Band-Aid on this one, the board is telling a future board, good luck, have fun dealing with something we should have dealt with. That is not forward thinking, that is not fiscal responsibility, and that is not leadership. I'm glad we had a chance to sit down with the county council a few days ago. However, while it was good to go over things and answer some questions, an 1.5-hour meeting doesn't do justice to the 1.5 years that we've been discussing the project, and that's again just since I've been on this board. We wouldn't have gotten to this point if we didn't dig deeper. The fact is we have asked the tough questions. We have requested additional studies when it made sense. We have engaged the experts. We have dug into this issue. We can't do everything alone or in a vacuum. We surround ourselves with a team that builds every one of us up. We have asked our team to dig deep, and they have continued to unearth new information to give us context around Colorado law, our charter, and projects like this. This is where I must apologize, though, because I've been reading 14.8 incorrectly. It is not a spending limit, as I thought it was only a few short weeks ago. This, in fact, in my opinion now, based on the information we have been provided, is a taxing limit. We are not raising taxes for this project. What we have done through great leadership in the past is save a portion of our revenue in order to help pay for a project such as this. That's being fiscally responsible. The most fiscally responsible way to build this project is to build it as one project, maximizing time and contractor resources, not by cobbling it together. The most fiscally responsible time to build this is now. Digging deeper can sometimes reveal new information. That is the case now. We have asked our trusted teams to do the hard work, dig deep, and find us the answers. We need to rely on them for advice. We should trust, but verify the information they find. New information sometimes changes minds or changes the course of a project such as this. I can look backwards and reflect on many forks in the road that required a reevaluation of information or a slight course correction for this project. I am not too proud to say that my stance 3 weeks ago was based on the information available at that time. Those that have worked with me in the past know that I'm open to new information and occasionally to changing my mind if the facts prove a solid point. I don't believe that's weakness. I believe this shows how much I dig into the information, ask questions, and in the end, truly want what's best for Weld County. Some folks may not agree with my new stance, and that's okay. I hope we agree on a lot of other things. This is not convenience. I believe we are following our home rule charter. I believe we are being fiscally responsible. I believe this project is needed. So, Mr. Chair, I'll be supporting the motion this morning, or excuse me, the resolution this morning.
Additional comments or an action, please?
Well,
Mr. Buck.
Commissioner Maxey, that was outstanding. And I hope so many people go back and listen to what both Commissioner Ross and Commissioner Maxey said. I think we have been down a very long and arduous road. And I can't thank Matt Conroy and Attorney Bruce Barker for all the due diligence that they have done to help us make such a tough decision. I also want to thank the county council. I served on the county council for, I think it was 6 years, and I love it when we are challenged on something where we don't come to eye to eye. But I would say, sir, we have been having to do the due diligence because we couldn't do our jobs if we hadn't done all the homework that we needed to do to make this decision. I want to respect my friend Natalie Tennant when it comes to challenging this the state. We did lose with the League of Women Voters, and we would lose again if we tried to challenge them. And the other thing is, you know, I kind of been scratching my head on the 14.8. To me, it was more always in my mind, why would we need any vote of the people for a spending as much as when it comes to a taxing. Taxing is where you're hitting all taxpayers, and yes, they need to come to the vote. But I never saw the 14.8 necessarily as a spending limit as much as a revenue limit and a taxing limit. So in all my good conscience and trying to do right by the people, I believe we have to get this done. Time is of the essence. Not that I want to do any shortcuts, but Lord knows we have been doing this probably for a year and a half now of all the homework we can do to make, I think, one of the most monumentous decisions this board will ever go through. And I am absolutely looking at this as one project, and we need to go forward.
Additional comments?
Yes, sir. As usual, my comments are much shorter and sweeter, and especially since there has been so much wonderfully said already. I will agree with what the other commissioners have already stated. We have come into this and debated and looked at how many different ways we could try to make this happen. Respectfully, there have been some definite digging in, which is good. Look at each other and try to brainstorm as much as possible. Bring in as many consultants that are the experts, including our legal, which I am so grateful for the experts. I'm grateful for the people that have challenged us. It helps us to be better at what we do. It helps us to dig in deeper to find those answers. I am very, very grateful for everybody that has at the utmost tried to put the citizen first. And that's really what all of us are trying to do. It's time for us to move forward and be the best stewards of the citizens' tax dollars and get this thing done.
Commissioner Ross?
Mr. Chair, if it's appropriate, I would like to make a motion so we can move it forward if you want to do your comments
Please,
prior.
go ahead. Go
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the resolution directing staff to issue the request for proposal for construction manager / general contractor, CMGC, to construct Weld County Justice Center as one project.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ross, second by Commissioner Maxey to approve Resolution 2026-1553. Further discussion? Yeah, me. Here's, I put mine in bullet point form to keep from wandering, as I can tend to do. I want to begin with Section 14.8 because that has been the absolute central question around this project. I take our home rule charter very seriously. We all swore an oath to uphold that, and the charter is not a suggestion box. It is our law. I had real concerns, as many know, about the earlier three-project approach. Separating the parking garage, the core and shell, the tenant finish simply did not sit right with me. We are building one justice center. My first instinct regarding 14.8 was taxpayer protection. As Commissioner Ross mentioned, the instincts are not wrong. We have all thankfully governed under Tabor, and we came at 14.8 with a Tabor mindset. But after the hard work of our county attorneys, I now have a very clear and, in my opinion, proper understanding of Section 14.8. Thank you to Bruce and to Matt for reviewing the things in a historical context. To provide an example, we revere the United States Constitution. We do. But we have a better and more complete understanding of that Constitution thanks to the Federalist Papers. The Federalist Papers discussed what the founders were talking about at the time they drafted the Constitution. We revere the Weld County Charter, but now have a better and more complete understanding of it because of the work of our county attorneys who have reviewed the Charter Commission minutes, statute, correspondence from the 1970s. The same kind of thing applies. We have a better understanding of what they were discussing. Section 14.8, as written, is tied to ad valorem taxation. It refers to a 3 mil levy for 3 years to fund a capital project. That was the charter framers acknowledging that the boards of county commissioners would have to build major capital projects. So they were basically given a credit limit, so to speak. 3 mils times 3 years. That's what they could spend from a credit standpoint. In plain English, Section 14.8 protects voters from the board raising property taxes for a major capital project without voter approval first. If the charter drafters wanted a true spending cap, they would have just said so, but they did not. Bottom line, the charter drafters prove that Weld County has always been fiscally conservative, and we were Tabor before Tabor was cool, quite frankly. That's a good protection. I support that protection. But that is not what we are doing here. We do not need the credit limits that the charter drafters allowed for in 14.8. We are not raising taxes for this project. We're not asking for a 3 mil levy over a 3-year increase to fund expenditures. We are not bypassing Tabor. We are not bypassing the charter. We are strictly contextually adhering to them. Weld County has the funds available to move forward without a tax increase. So I'm now comfortable saying this does not trigger the voter requirements set in section 14.8. Frankly, moving forward as one project is the more honest and fiscally conservative approach. We are building one justice center. We should call it one justice center. We should build it as one justice center. We should manage it as one justice center. It is more fiscally responsible to do so. We have been advised that moving forward as one unified project can save tens of millions of dollars compared to splitting them into multiple projects over multiple years with potentially different contractors. Now, zooming out from 14.8, this project is not optional in the broader sense. Counties are required to provide suitable court facilities. That is a core constitutionally mandated county function. Section 2-1 of the county charter says that we shall provide all the mandatory functions under the Colorado Constitution. We are adhering to our charter. Weld County has grown. Our court facilities have not kept pace. They are deemed unsuitable by multiple studies, one performed by a third-party organization. The current courthouse and Centennial Center complex are out of room. We do not have adequate capacity for future courtrooms. We have real issues with security, circulation, and separation of judges, staff, victims, deputies, defendants, witnesses, jurors, and the public. This is public safety. That is not a cosmetic problem that we're up against. It's not a fresh paint and new carpet territory. We have studied this for nearly 2 years. We have looked at all the options from multiple angles over and over. We have hired the right experts. We have selected an owner's representative. We have selected an architect through a competitive process. We have worked through location, design, cost, timing, function, and long-term need. Many people have asked, including me, whether we could just remodel that which we have or build smaller pieces over time. The answer is, yeah, we could do that. Bottom line is we could. Government can always find a way to spend millions of dollars making an old problem just look slightly like a newer problem. It's still going to be a problem. Putting multi-million-dollar Band-Aids on 50-year-old buildings is not true planning. It's not fiscal responsibility. It's kicking a bigger, more expensive can down the road to a future Board of County Commissioners. I do not believe that's a responsible choice. This is the largest project that Weld County has ever tackled. Thank you, President Hatch, for noting that. It's true. Because of that, it should be scrutinized. It should be questioned. It should be watched closely by the taxpayers. That's not the problem. Your involvement is appreciated greatly. I mean, this is how it's how it should work. Scrutiny, it's not the same thing as paralysis. At some point after studying something over and over and over, we have to make a decision. My conclusion is that moving forward with the proposed Justice Center as one project is the right decision. Moving forward as one unified project is the honest decision. Moving forward without raising taxes is a fiscally responsible decision. And moving forward now is how we build court facilities that can serve Weld County, not just for the next few years, but for the next 75 years. Colorado case law says that the local governing body has broad authority in how they interpret their own charters. Section 2-5 of the charter, our charter, the county charter, says that it shall be liberally construed. That phrase, liberally construed, does a lot of work there. It means don't read the charter like a trap, where the county only has powers spelled out in tiny detail. Read it generously so the county can govern effectively, which is what we're doing here today. There's a lot been said by my friend, Ms. Tennant, about taking this to the voters. Ms. Tennant, I would argue that it has been taken to the voters. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic, one that will about ready to celebrate 250 years. And it has stood the test of time because we believe in that constitutional republic. This board was elected by the people. We represent the will of the people. We were the governing body of the people. I would argue that with the election of this 5, it has been taken to a vote of the people, and we represent the consent of the governed. I changed my view on section 14.8 and the project structure because the facts and the legal understanding became clearer. I'm not embarrassed by that at all. Public officials should be able to learn something new, correct course, and say so plainly. Pride is not only a sin, but it's expensive. Weld County taxpayers should not have to pay for my pride. For those reasons, I'm supportive of the resolution. Further discussion, please. Chair would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Harry Buck,
Yes.
Lynette Pepler,
Yes.
Kevin Ross.
Yes.
Jason Maxey.
Yes.
Scott James.
Yes. Record reflect the motion passes 5-0.